Hello and welcome to the grammar lesson for past perfect progressive. Use and function. The past perfect progressive is used to talk about the actions which continued up to a moment or stopped just before a moment, both in the past. Grammatical form. In affirmative past perfect progressive sentences, the verb structure is had been plus ing form or present participle. Example, when I arrived, they had been doing grammar exercises for 2 hours. So they were really bored. Well, in this example, the moment in the past which an activity stopped before that or continued up to that point is the speaker's arrival. The speaker arrived at a point in the past, and the students from another older past had been doing grammar exercises until that moment, until the speaker's arrival. And the same idea here, my wife's English was much better than mine because she had been living in the States for a decade when I moved there. Well, the action which continued until a moment is the wife's living in the state. It had been continuing until a moment, and the moment is when the speaker moved to the States. Grammatical form. In a negative past perfect progressive sentence, the auxiliary verb had is added by not, and it makes the negative sentence, and in interrogative sentences or question forms, had is placed before the subject. It moves to the beginning of the sentence before the subject to help the verb transitions. Example, I had not been using my bike since I bought a car, so I offered him to use it. Well, as you see, the verb is had been using, and the negative form is had not been using. And the question form, had the factory been using illegal chemicals? No one knew the fact. Well, the verb is had been using, but had has moved to the beginning of the sentence, had before the subject, factory. Had the factory been using? And finally, there are two question forms like all the other structures, yes, no, and WH. In yes, no questions, well, simply because we have an auxiliary verb, we move the auxiliary verb to the beginning of the sentence before the subject. And in the WH questions, we add the WH word before the auxiliary verb had. Had she been waiting there for long when you arrived? And what had they been building the water canals for before they started the project? Well, I hope you liked the lesson. Goodbye and good luck.